Kirsty.Petrie. Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kirsty. Today I am doing 3-layer tribal braids. You guys have seen this all over IG, so let's get right into it. First things first, I'm starting off with freshly detangled hair. My hair is clean and it is detangled. You need to have your hair fully detangled for this style to be neat and last, a long time. You don't need it flat iron, but you do need your hair to be stretched, blown out, and fully detangled. The parts are really small and require that you don't have any kind of knots to slow you down. Now, I made my initial part. I'm starting my first layer, and I'm parting from the tip of one ear to the tip of the other ear. After you've made your first part, you're going to take your comb and you're going to split that hair in the half, starting like right down the middle. So you're creating a center point so that way you kind of have an even number of braids on that entire row. So one side has 6, the other side has 6. So on that row you have 12 small cornrows. Just a quick note, when you're doing these parts, make sure that they're all the same size on every layer. That makes such a difference when the style is complete. Now, the hair I'm going to be using I got from the beauty supply store. This hair is already pre-stretched. I didn't want to have to add that to my time. It is this color called 350. It's like this ginger copper color, super pretty. Now, I'm separating the hair. You can see you want to start with like a tiny piece, then get a gradually bigger piece. You want to do this until you have 7 to 8 pieces of hair that you're going to feed into that braid. Now, on my bottom layer, I did 8 pieces. On the next layer, which was the middle, I did 9, and then on the top, I did 9 pieces of hair that was fed into each cornrow. And this allows me to have my braids all the same length and all the same thickness. And you'll kind of, as you braid, you're gonna be like, oh, I think I need to add one more piece, or I think I need to reduce one piece. You will be able to tell based on the size of your part and based on the length of your part. Starting off, you want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 braid movements without any braiding here. This is my first piece that I've added in, and then you're just going to continue on braiding. It is important for this particular style that you start each cornrow off with your real hair. Now for me, I did 5 braid movements. When I got closer to the top, I did do 7 just because my hair is a little bit thinner and I didn't want it to look super noticeable, with the braiding hair at the beginning. So yeah, you want to make sure that you started with your real hair first and then you gradually add in those pieces. As you can see, I'm holding it with my pinky and then feeding that first piece in. You want to flip that piece over, grab your next piece of hair and begin cornrowing. These braids are so beautiful to me. It took me a total of 9.5 hours to do this entire style. And the reason is because both times, so I started doing my hair at like 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock at night on the first night, and then I stopped at 3:30. Here I'm showing you guys what I meant about the same size part. I know it seems tedious and you're like, I can just braid that. Don't do it. Make those braids even. Okay, it's gonna look so much better in the end. So that piece right there, split that baby into, and you're gonna go ahead and braid. Product that I'm using on my fingertips is MURRAYS Black Beeswax. This has been around forever, and I just use it to give me a nice little grip. And it's not gel, it is wax, so it's not making my hair curl up and slip. Here is that braid movement again. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to get your first piece of braiding hair, the really thin one. You're gonna hook it onto your pinky and feed it between your pointer finger and your thumb, and then go 6, 7, pull that down between your pointer finger and your thumb, and then you're gonna grab your next piece of braiding hair hook it onto your pinky, and then feed it between that. And then go 8, 9, pull it down, and repeat. Keep watching to see how the rest of the style turned out.
Petrie.
Now again, I'm taking that MURRAYS Black Beeswax and I'm taking it, putting it on my fingertip. I'm gonna rub it onto my fingers and distribute it evenly, and I'm gonna use that to braid down my hair to make sure that my real hair blends with this braiding hair. As you guys can see, the black color does not affect the braiding hair in any way, so you could use as little or as much as you like. I really am glad that I chose to use wax for this style because I didn't want to have to deal with my hair curling back up or slipping. And that's layer number 1. On to layer number 2. For layer number 2, what you're going to do is you're going to begin parting at the temple. So you're going to part from one temple to the other. And when I'm saying temple, I really mean like the side of your head. When you have a headache, that is your temple. So you want to part from there to there to make sure that the layers are even and the braids overlap naturally. Once you have your hair parted from temple to temple, you're going to take your rat tail comb and you're going to part directly down the center of that entire section that you just created. Again, parting down the center is going to allow you to have the same amount of braids on each side, which in the end is going to allow you to have like an even look all around. And you guys will see at the end of this video, the braids look beautiful and they overlap nicely. This is how I wore my hair to work. I did put a wrap on, but I had to go to sleep, y'all, and it was like 3:45 in the morning. I was done. So I am going to do a braid down the center of my head just to kind of help me conceal my bald spot. I'm not there yet where I could just pull off the style and just, you know, let myself be free like that. So I'm covering it today. Again, I'm taking that beeswax and I am going to braid with this. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to how I start off this middle braid, because this middle braid, it is longer. So watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where we'd stop in the other ones. 6, 7. Okay, so this is how many braid movements I did there. And that's just because this braid is longer and it would probably be thicker than the braids that were I was braiding in the beginning. So again, as you braid, you will begin to adjust and understand, you know, what works for your hair. Now, a little something I want you to see that I'm doing here, and I'm gonna slow it down real quick. Once you feed the hair in, right, you're gonna go tuck it under right there. You're gonna grab the hair that was hanging, you're going to tuck it under, and then watch this step. You want to pull, okay? That is going to secure everything that you just did. So tuck, braid, braid, tuck, pull. That pulling is just, like I said, secures everything. It makes sure your cornrow is straight. It makes sure that no hair is slipping. It makes sure that your braid looks uniform and neat. I didn't realize this until I got to the top of my head, how much that made a difference, because if you watched earlier in the beginning of the video, I was not really doing that in the back of my head. So that's a little tip I am sharing with y'all. Make sure you pull just to tighten it and secure everything up. Now you just continue feeding in your hair, and then I'm going to turn around so you guys could see a small little angle of me braiding the back. I add small pieces of braiding hair all the way throughout this braid. And if you're gonna do a middle braid, just be mindful to keep the hair thin in the back. So that way this braid isn't totally much bigger than the rest of your braids that you have in your head. because this braid is longer, you do use more pieces of hair to feed in. So you want to make sure it's still around the same size. And finally on the third and final layer, I'm just giving you guys a little glimpse of what it took to finish off the top. These parts are small. You want to make sure that the parts on the top are the same size as the parts on that next layer. Again, this is going to help so that way your braids overlap evenly and they look uniform, and that's really important when you're doing braids, that they look the same size. Now I'm showing you this angle because I wanted you guys to see how I started off this braid, where my bald spot is. I didn't start it any different than what I did with my other braids, and that's what I wanted you guys to see. I don't care if you do have some edges gone or whatever, start that braid the same way that you would those other braids, if possible, because at the end of the day, when I look at this braid and I look at my other braids, I don't want this one to be much skinnier than the others. So I'm going to make sure I feed in the same amount of pieces, the same size pieces of braiding hair, so it looks uniform. The only difference is that it starts down a little shorter than the other ones. But I followed the same, 5 little braid movements in the beginning, and I started braiding in that, braiding hair, and yeah, the braid comes out beautiful. Now, when you are braiding in the front like this, be mindful, y'all. You are working by your edges, so don't braid super tight. You just really want to braid it enough so that way these cornrows, are, they're not loose, but they're in there. Now, this is the final braid, and I started this one off with a piece of braiding hair. And this is just because it's not very much hair here, so I wanted the colors to be present sooner. But I still did my 5 braid movements, and then I just continued on with adding in that hair. And as you can see, I added in a couple pieces beyond where my real hair is because, again, I wanted the braids to be uniform. So I am adding in that hair even, though I don't have no of my real hair there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I applaud you guys for those who stayed to the very end. Thank you for watching. I know this was a very repetitive process, very repetitive clips, but that is braiding. That is the process of braids. It's repetitive, same motions, same movements, especially if you want the same looking braids each and every time. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of this color. Would you guys wear this color? Are you going to try this style, whether you do it or your stylist? And have you tried MURRAYS Beeswax? Let me know your thoughts. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you guys head on over to IG. My Instagram is kirsty.peachtree, and there I post pictures and all kind of content in my story, so you don't want to miss that either. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure when you are done with your braids, you dip and you snip any loose ends or flyaways and decorate these braids, girl. Add in your gold jewelry and your gold wire and set the entire look off. Thank you guys for watching. Stay channeling the beauty that's within inside of you.